Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Friday Night Shit Chat, a podcast where we drink beer and talk about random topics. Today, I'll be your host, Nick, the Dungeon Master. I'm joined with my co-hosts, Dan, the Heartthrob, and Nico, the Movie Master.
I'm your Huckleberry.
What's going on, everybody?
All right. Well, just like every other episode, let's go round robin here and talk about our beer, shall we? Dan, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm having a Michelob Ultra tonight.
All right. Nico, what you got?
I've got a Three Floyds Zombie Dust tonight.
Oh, you
Nice.
mother! Nice, good choice. Well, unlike you guys, not going hard in the paint here. I am having an Angry Orchard, just a crisp apple. Little history behind Angry Orchard. It used to be brewed or fermented in Ohio, but as of late, Boston Beer Company bought them out and moved them to Walden, New York. They used to have all these cool, crazy flavors, and they've calmed that down a little bit. They usually have a variety pack, a green apple, which is my favorite, but I couldn't find it. Now they have Easy Apple, which is basically like apple juice, I think. But it's available everywhere, so sure you don't need much on that one. How are you doing tonight, guys? Feeling good?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing okay. How are you doing today?
I'm tired, but that's just me. Dan?
Dan, how are you doing, man?
I'm all right. It's middle of the week, so it's, days feel longer, but I'm good.
It's Friday night.
Oh, yeah.
No,
That's a violation.
Yep, you're under arrest, man. Come on now. All right, so I'm bringing a topic that's I don't know, controversial comes to mind because it's one of those ones that, like, I don't want to say everyone argues about, but
Here it goes. Nick's gonna get us canceled.
Oh no.
cancel.
Real.
Why would I do something like that? But no, it's one of those things where I feel like, there's no middle ground to it. It's either you're like fully into it, fully invested, or you're like, yeah, no. And I'm obviously talking about, with that vague description, is the paranormal. Ooh. What?
That's for any 90s/early 2000s kids. That's from Jackie Chan Adventures. That's Uncle. If you know, you know.
I don't know.
He's keeping spirits away.
Okay. Well, but yeah, anything paranormal, personal experiences that we've had, any major, like, obviously it's always fun to talk about the well-known ghost stories or hauntings or whatever you want to call them. But I actually wanted to start this episode out because obviously we're all natives of, like, the, like, Bartlett, Carroll Stream area, so it seems. But so when I was going to school, and this is when I was in middle school, I believe, Bartlett High School was just built in, God, I don't even remember what year that is, 2003? And
that was that young. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a young high school. And let's see, let me just, oh no, 1997. No, that's not right. Is it?
Come on, man.
I don't feel like that's right. Was I?
It was rebuilt in 2003.
No, because it was a brand new high school. Well, I mean, even still, 1997 as well. Regardless of that, so there was I want to call it a wives' tale, but more of like a what's it called? What's not coming to my mind? But like,
Ghost story, more
well,
or less.
we can call it a ghost story. But I guess like so the first year that the high school opened or whatever, um, it had the first day of school, like the first um, class that was entered Bartlett High School. One of the kids got hit by a truck and pretty much passed on, like immediately, right? But it seemed that every year after that, there was at least one death in the school. So a lot of people were going on and on about how Bartlett High School was cursed. And I don't know, Dan, you went to Bartlett High School, and I mean, I did too. That's why I know this. That's why I'm telling the story. But did you hear that when you were in the school, like that it was a cursed high school or whatever?
That's actually crazy because you're not going the direction I thought you were gonna go.
Oh, really?
So yeah, but no, I actually haven't heard of that. So that's news.
Yeah.
to
So
me.
I mean, it was featured on, and I think the website is obviously defunct at this point. But like, it seemed that every year it was like whether it was like, and most of the time it was like a car accident or something like that. But someone in our class, and I think it was, and it's kind of hard to bring up because it's not like we were close or anything like that. But I knew this person. She actually was murdered.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and it was very sad. It was a very sad thing. They like, I don't really want to go into it because that's not what this is about. But again, that like carried on like the oh my god, there's a curse at the school. Like every year the school's been open, one person has died. Now, here's the thing. I understand fully that like it's a school full of people and kids and stuff like that. So of course, I think death is um obviously going to happen with it being so populated. But it seemed like Bartlett High School, it was always a student. It was always like the first day was the truck, and then the murder, and then I think there's a few other car accidents that were involved. And I want to say there was a house fire, but I can't remember, and I can't find the website that I used to use. But and actually 97 does sound right because I would have been in high school in 03. That's when
I was gonna
02.
say.
So there were 5. It was 5 years. Yeah. So no, that's right. Okay, but yeah, and it seems like I don't know if that's still. I know last year around October, there was a male and female student that actually wound up getting hit by a bus.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's like so that's why I was curious, like when you were there, if you had heard like that this curse is a thing. But I don't, and I think one of them passed and one of them survived. But yeah, they were like trying to catch the bus, and the bus driver wasn't paying attention and like hit them both, I should say. So it just seems like that was like a constant like problem at the school. So, but with that being said, that also leads into all the ghost stories at Bartlett High School. And personal experience I've had, obviously I was a student there for 4 years, 2002 to 2005, graduated at 05. And I would be there for like I was in theater, so I did a lot of plays and stuff like that. But there was, I mean, obviously, baseline like ghost detection, I guess you could say, is like the cold spots and the hair standing on the back of your neck or whatever. But there was one time when we were at the school for something. I don't remember if it was a play, and like I was walking one of the hallways on the bottom floor, and I remember the hallway. I don't know, Dan, if you remember this, but there was that hallway that had like the it was like where the daycare was for like the teachers, where like it was like kind of like a closed off hallway. And as a student, you really didn't go down that hallway. I think some of the cooking classes might have been down there at one point, but
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
so when I was there, I was like kind of just wandering the school because whatever was going on, I obviously wasn't into it. But and I distinctly remember there was at one point I was walking down the hallway and I turned around because I felt like someone was like coming up behind me. And as I turned around, like some of the lights flickered, and one of the classroom doors like opened up slowly, like someone was like peeking out to look at me. And at that point, like I think I was what is it, sophomore? I booked it because I was like, oh, nope, not gonna be here for that. But I I was out of there, like I was gone. So But yeah, that was like kind of like a hand in hand with the whole curse and ghost story thing. But what did you think I was going to bring up, Dan?
I thought you were gonna bring up Munger Road.
That's on my list of things to talk about.
Because I know that was a big one when I was in high school.
Well,
I went there a couple times too.
Did you? So I guess we can segue into that. Unless Nico, did you hear anything about like the curse of Bartlett High School when you were going to your high school?
Honestly, no. Which is weird. I mean, like I knew a couple of people who technically went to Bartlett High School. So actually, I knew a couple of people who went to Bartlett High School, and I knew a couple of people from like my school's the academy, the music academy. They technically went to Bartlett High School and would come to Larkin for academy and stuff like that, or for certain like AP classes and stuff. But no one's ever said anything to me about like, at least that I can remember, about like haunting or like like curses or anything like that at that high school. I'm trying to think. I feel like there was some stuff at like Elgin High that there's been like rumors and stuff about like either ghost stories or like people dying and stuff like that. But that's also, I mean, live in Elgin, and at times it was a little ghetto. If some people don't know about Elgin, Illinois, so you kind of chalk it up to that sort of stuff, but never Bartlett.
Yeah, it's so just to clarify, that murder happened. It was an aggravated kidnapping and murder. Happened in 2002, so we were still freshmen at the time. So it was definitely a sad part, and I think about that. Every now and then, just because like obviously it was like I said, the person that was and I weren't super close, but like we had interactions. Like we were going to school together for ages, and it's a sad thing that for that to happen. But that just added to like the whole curse thing of Bartlett High School. It was just the next, 14. She was 14 when it happened. But
holy crap,
crazy! Yeah, it's just crazy to think about it that happened. But anyway, enough about that. It's hard to. I guess I should have ended with that because it's kind of hard to move on from that, isn't it? And Elgin's a very old city, and I think like a lot of, I wouldn't, I know Excalibur is in the city, is one of those ones that like is very famous in the Chicagoland area. And I actually don't even know if it's open anymore, but like I know a couple of the TV shows, and I know like it's a TV show. It's meant for entertainment, and I don't believe everything that I see on the internet or on TV, but there are some things that like I feel like the things that when I'm watching something I can tell because like I feel like the hair will stand up on the back of my neck, like holy crap, like maybe that's the hardest thing to fake. But obviously with TV and editing and stuff like that, anything can be faked. But I guess I don't know, but. I know Excalibur was like it's a big one in the city that a lot of people talk about. I'm not too familiar with the haunting there, but I know like music goes out and lights go out and stuff like that. But Munger Road, that's man, that brought back. You said that I had that on my list, but there's so many memories of Munger Road, dude. Like, I actually two of my friends and I we slept at one of the friends lived close by to Munger Road, and we thought that we'd be cool, high school teenagers and. Sneak out of his parents' house and walk Munger Road at night. And I will tell you this: it was
Crazy.
it was the dumbest idea. Like I just I don't even know how to explain it. It was creepy because there's no streetlights over there. And honestly, like I did get like the hair standing up in the back of my neck, but that could also just be like you're out in in the middle of the night, 1:00 in the morning, walking a pitch black road with some flashlights, and a car going 90s flying by you. One wrong move and you're done. But we made it to the railroad tracks, which is where a lot of the I believe the activity is like, and it shares a similar story with railroad tracks in Texas, where if you put like flour or a powdery substance on the back of your trunk, that like and you put your car in neutral and put it on the railroad tracks, that your car will get pushed over the tracks and there will be fingerprints on your trunk. So there was that story originated in Texas, and somehow Munger Road has the same story, unless I'm mistaken. That's the legend, right?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
So yeah, that actually originated in Texas. So like, I was always wary about like the legitimacy of that story, but I will tell you this: there have been times when like you're just driving down Munger late at night, because I frequented Munger Road not just for the paranormal thrill of it, but just because it's a main road that, like, getting back and forth. And there have been, I don't want to say unexplainable things, but there have been like lights in the tree lines, and like there have been other just random things that have happened out on Munger Road that it just gives you creepy vibes, right? It's a dark road. There's so many ghost stories there, and I think a couple students from Bartlett High School, not maybe a couple of years ago. No, I think it's longer than a couple, but they made an independent film about Munger Road. And they actually wound up playing it at the St. Charles Mall. So, did you know that?
I did. I was just pulling it up because I remember hearing about it when it came out, because they were filming. So they actually filmed in parts of Bartlett, St. Charles, Elburn, Geneva, and Sugar Grove. So like all in this area over here. And it's basically like, so it's set during Scarecrow Fest here in St. Charles, which is, obviously it's a festival once a year. It's usually in downtown St. Charles or whatever. The plot of it is, it says in St. Charles, Illinois, during the town Scarecrow Fest, two teenage couples take their SUV down to Munger Road to test a local urban legend. So basically what you're talking about, either with the flour, or in this case, it looks like baby powder.
Yeah, baby powder.
Simultaneously, a convicted killer escapes from his transport to another jail and starts a murder spree. So basically, there's two things going on at once. There's like this paranormal side of things, and then there's a murderer on the loose. Wow. And it's like the teenagers, the teenagers back at their vehicle test to see if the children will push their SUV off the railroad track crossing by dusting the bumper with baby powder. The teenage girls are momentarily tricked by their boyfriends into believing that the spirits moved the vehicle. The girls become upset at being tricked and asked to go home. The boys try to start the vehicle but are unable to do so. One of the couples decides to stay with the vehicle while the others try to walk home. The teens are slowly picked off by the escaped murderer with the police search to stop him. Or while the police search to stop him. So, yeah, I remember hearing about like this made news that they were working on this film. Mm-hmm. And it was, with good reason, because everybody was like, oh, we all know the stories about Munger Road and shit. So like, somebody's doing they all thought it was like a horror, which like this is technically, I guess you could say it's a horror film because there's murder involved and everything, but it's, they thought it was going to be much more paranormal, which like it starts off that way. So it starts off with like the story about it and everything like that. And then, trying to remember if I've watched this at all, and if I have, it's probably been a while.
I haven't. I actually need to sit down and watch it.
Yeah. So, excuse me. Apparently, it's been criticized for the ending of the film, but yeah, I mean, like, and actually, the director and writer of the film is a St. Charles native, so he's from around here.
I wasn't sure if it was St. Charles or Bartlett, but that makes sense.
I mean, it's all like that same area, because I mean it's, it's literally connected by freaking Munger Road and then Stearns. So
true, yeah. So, did either one of you want to share a personal experience that you may have had?
Go ahead, Dan.
Well, I've done a lot of stupid shit.
Hey, me too.
So yeah, I brought up we've done Munger Road before, and then we went through this weird phase, me and my friend group, where we went to supposedly haunted cemeteries in the area.
I've done the same thing, sir.
And I think the one that I had like a that I can honestly say I've had like an actual experience in is in Manuka. It's like 2 hours away.
Oh, man, you were really
And
into it.
oh yeah, it was wild. All right, because it's I remember what it was called. Ox Sable Cemetery in Manuka.
I know that cemetery. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, so I forgot how we heard about it, but we heard about it and we looked into it and we were like, holy shit, we
Mm-hmm.
have to go do this. So we took the 2.5 hour drive out there. So as soon as we got closer to there, like because you're going from really like populated suburb area, and then the further down south you go, Illinois, it turns into just straight just farmland, and it's
Mm-hmm.
no street lights. And here's the fucked up part. I was a broke high school student, right? So my car was on E, so I had the gas light on as we're getting there in the middle of nowhere, just nothing but cornfields on our left and our right, and it was just bad way to start the night. And then so we get there, and so it got really popular online during that time, so they had put up like a gate or something there, so we had to like move all these it put up like the construction barricades that they usually put up when they're doing construction, so we had to move all that stuff out the way and then open up the gate. And as soon as you open up the gate, it's got that loud creaking sound. You're like, oh shit, yeah. And then as soon as you start driving into it, there's like the creepiest fucking bridge going over like a small creek with some like all the trees around there are like dead, and it's just fucking scary looking. So yeah, we got through there, we crossed in there, and then we ended up pulling into it, and it was like I think it rained the day before, so it was like super muddy. So we get out of the car and we just start walking around
It's the best
like
part.
idiots. And I think I don't know how, but me and my other friend, it was like it was 5 of us. So me and my other friend kind of like didn't get separated, but we started walking off on our own because you know how they a lot of cemeteries have like mausoleums and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we started walking towards one of them because supposedly there was like a cave or something behind one of them that they said was like a gate to hell or something like that. So we started walking towards it, and like as soon as we get like past a certain point, it just goes like super fucking quiet, and it's like outside, so you know you're used to hearing animals like at night or crickets or like frogs even, and like it literally just goes like dead quiet, and then it's just like a chill comes in out of nowhere, and for like 10 seconds like I can't see anybody else except my buddy that's right next to me. I'm like, holy shit, where did everybody else go? And then we just look at each other, and like we didn't even say anything, like just the look on our faces, like we knew we both experienced the same exact thing. So we're like, what the fuck? And we just turned around and just ran to my car, and then we told the rest of our friends to get in, and we're like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. And then I told you it was muddy, and my car got a little stuck.
Oh no,
So
that's no good.
we're sitting there going back and forth trying to get the fuck out of there, and then we finally get it out. But I was like, holy shit. And yeah, I think that was the first time I ever experienced something that like I couldn't explain. Like it was just weird, man. Like everything went silent, and it was like a summer night, so it was warm out, and just all of a sudden just this fucking chill, like goosebumps, and like the hair on the back of my neck standing up, and it was just fucking weird.
Yeah, that's a telltale sign, isn't it? The chills and the like. I feel like once that hair stands up on the back of your neck, that's like I know, like what hair is supposed to be, but I feel like that like the second function of that is like something ain't right, and it's not something you can see. So it's like, whoop.
Yeah, because that goes back to that goes way back, right? When like prehistoric times when we used to be hunted by bigger predators than us.
Yep,
And that'd be like a sixth sense kind of.
basically, yeah, yeah.
Just
That's-
just to kind of Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Ox Sable is that's a great story. I have not been, but yeah, that's a good one. That's a good place to go. But
Yeah,
go ahead,
we went
Nico.
multiple times.
Did you?
So just to kind of piggyback off of what Dan was just saying right there about like the sixth sense sort of thing, right? So like I've heard stories before about how it, like evolutionary functions of our body, right? And like the reason why we fear certain things. So like, did you ever? It's never been like fully established why, but like people have a lot of theories as to why we're afraid of certain things, like snakes, things that are bigger than us, spiders, things to that nature. But one that is that I found really like chilling is that the reason why we are afraid of like ghostly spirits or things that we imagine to be like poltergeists or like you think of like this, just think of like the generic like scary ghost that you can think of. It's usually like a pale face or even like a pale just like figure with like darkened eyes and stuff like that. Some people have theorized that the reason for that, it's like an ingrained thing in our DNA and our biology, that we are afraid of other humans, but like things that used to hunt us that were like human like. So you think of things that like I don't know, maybe Neanderthals or maybe some other form of like caveman that would actually hunt like our baser like being and like hunt and eat us. So like that like was ingrained in our like DNA to like be afraid of things that look odd and like that look human like, and like you think of things that like some people have like fear of like, not necessarily fear of small children, but like the like spirits that like look like little kids, and or like again like ghosts and stuff like that, like things that are shaped and human shaped and stuff like that. All sort of ties back to thinking that like maybe that's all based in like some reality where we were once hunted by something that looked similar to us. I find that freaky.
It is freaky. That's a good analogy too. Like, or not analogy, but that's a good observation on that. Like, I didn't think of it like that. I always thought of it like, I'm every time I host, I feel like I need to start the episode a certain way, but because I wanted to talk about like how like this has been a part of my life for a while, just like the paranormal stuff. I feel like I've had a lot of experiences in my entire lifetime that leads me to this, like why I believe so much and like what I've experienced. And so yeah, like it was but like what you were saying, like to a point too, a lot of people speculate because children's minds are innocent that they can see spirits because their brain doesn't comprehend like certain things, or like it's not developed to the point where they're comprehending everything around them, and so it's easier for them to see, or maybe whatever the fact may be. But I feel like what you're saying along those lines is like, what if you did see something as a child, like when you were younger, and you can't articulate what you see, and that image sticks with you. So when you see that or hear that, or like even even like a mention of it, just leaves you with goosebumps because you've seen it in the past, but your conscious mind doesn't know how to process it, or now it doesn't know how to process it, but it did when you were little. So I always thought of it kind of like that, where like you've seen this before as a child, and you can't talk, or like whatever the case may be, because a lot of people when it comes to like this field, dogs and children are like the telltale sign of like, oh, there's a ghost or a spirit or a demon or something like that. Dogs specifically. Like, I don't know what it is about dogs, but like I feel a lot of times when we're talking about ghost stories, dogs are mostly involved. Because I feel like they have that sixth sense that maybe we once had when we were young, but now because we're older and just like the way our mind processes things, we don't visually see it. Now, I say that, but also I have a lot of unexplainable things that have happened that I've actually seen with my own two eyes, like, and heard with my own two ears. And this is like, I think some of my stories are mind-boggling. But I will start with this one. So when we were little, my grandma on my mom's side had passed away before my sister, my younger sister. Well, I guess they're both my younger sister. I'm the oldest. My second youngest sister. She never got to meet her, so it was just a thing. But when she got a little older, what she would do is she'd climb up on the countertop in her house. And she would open the cabinets and she would talk and like giggle and talk and answer questions. And my mom, at one point, she's like, who are you talking to? And she says, Grandma George. I'm like, my mom goes, well, how would you even know? Well, what does she look like? And guys, I don't know how she did this, but she described my grandma almost to a T. It left my mom in tears. Like, my mom was physically crying because she's like, what is going on right now? And like, she would have conversations and she would say things that like she had no idea, because she was like, she was really little when my grandma passed away. She would have no idea certain things, but yet she was able to repeat them after talking to the cabinet. Like, I got goosebumps right now telling that story because I'm like, oh my God. But to take it a step further, there was one time when I was in the kitchen alone and I can't remember what I was doing, but I was in there for some reason. And the cabinet door like kind of like shook. And I'm like, at the time I don't think anything of it because I'm like, oh, whatever, like, house could be settling, whatever. But it did, like, it kept doing it. Like, every so often the cabinet would just thump. And then my sister came in the room and said, Grandma's calling me, and opened the cabinet door and started having a conversation. What? It was wild, guys. Like, and then the last piece of evidence that I had for that, like, little story, there is a picture of me and my other sister sitting on my grandma's lap. Okay. And my mom took the picture. And for years, this picture sat on our fireplace mantle. And my mom would do this thing where she would like mark the pictures. So like, she would like keep them all. And like, this was part of this set. She'd mark them on the back so she knew what, like, if she wanted to go to that set to see what else was taken, whatever, right? She labeled her pictures. So there was, so at one point, like when I started getting really into this, I started checking, like, I was going through like old pictures of my grandparents and old pictures of like, my parents' wedding and houses. And I just so happened to glance at that picture on the fireplace mantle, and I picked it up and I'm looking at it. And this picture still exists to this day. So I can like physically show this to you guys. There is a face in the upper left-hand corner of the picture that's looking down at my grandmother. So I'm like, and now it's Polaroid days, so I'm like, okay, overexposure, whatever. So I tell my mom, I'm like, hey, I'm just curious, like, can you pull out the pictures that go with the set? And every other picture in that set was houses and gardens and nothing with another face. So I'm looking at them like, this is 100% authentic. Like, this is real. There is a freaking face in this picture. All these years, it's right there. And it doesn't look like an evil face. It just looks like a face that's looking over my grandma and like me and my sister that are in the picture. So I told my mom to look at it, and like she looks at it, she goes, that looks like my great grandma's face. I'm like, no way. There's no way. And she's like, no, that is literally my great grandmother's face in that picture. Yeah. So that I think I was probably into it a little bit before that instance, but like that was that whole like thing of events, and that wasn't just like one like 2 or 3 days in a row. That was like a year's worth of like my sister talking to the cabinets, my sister able to repeat things that she wouldn't have known, finding that picture, and from that point on, I was like, that is the coolest stuff ever. I need to like I want to be a paranormal investigator. Like that is going to pay the bills. Obviously, it's not, but that's what I thought because I was like researching and like I wanted to buy a bunch of stuff. But that instance right there is what made me so involved, or I don't even say involved, interested in paranormal. So, yeah, yeah.
That's pretty
Uh,
wild, dude.
I'm speechless. Like even telling the story because this was a long time ago. Even telling the story now, I still get goosebumps when like my mom started to cry because there's no way my sister knew this stuff. And I think my mom is like I would say my mom is 50-50 believer because like she's like well there's no way this, but like she doesn't believe because I think she thinks that if she believes in the stuff that she has to also believe in that there's the negative part that comes with it. But
Mhm.
at the same time, there is stuff that happened in that house that's undeniable. So, I mean, yeah, that's a good way to kick this one off. And I mean, we've been recording for 40 minutes already, but it's a good way to kick this off.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Didn't realize.
yeah. But yeah, who's next? You want to go again, Dan?
Trying to think. 'Cause I don't think I have anything else really that was like that.
I'll be honest, I do have some stories.
All right, go ahead.
All right, Nico, let's hear it.
So, I'm just trying to think of which one to tell really quick. So probably one of the creepiest ones, and like let me start off by saying I don't know that I necessarily believe in like ghosts
Mm-hmm.
or like I don't necessarily believe in spirits of like dead people roaming our plane, right? Like I do believe in demons and I do believe in like evil spirits or evil entities and stuff like that, or malicious or um maybe even like trickster sort of entities and stuff like that. Um so uh one thing that I could say for sure, and this happened a very long time ago. I'm talking about like I was probably 4, and my little sister, or my youngest, not my youngest sister, sorry, the one in between me and my youngest sister. So my little sister, um, she's about a year and a half younger than me. So we were around, the same age. So I was 4, she was probably about 3 at the time. She woke me up one night, or really it was like early morning, freaking out. She was super scared, and she like, Nico, come, like help me. And I was just like what's going on, and she was like, I had a bad dream. I was like, I mean, okay, like just go back to sleep. And she was like, no, it was a really scary dream. And so like she told me what the dream was. She told me that like in her dream she woke up and went downstairs into our basement. So where we used to live in Elgin on like it was a 1-story, 2-story house. I can't remember exactly how big it was, but we had a second floor, we had our main floor, and then we had a basement. And our basement was like unfinished. It was kind of a shitty basement, kind of scary down there too. She told me that she had, in her dream, she had woken up and just like walked downstairs all the way down to the basement. And she said that she saw a hole open up in the ground on the floor of the basement, and she said it was the devil rise up out of the floor, right? And like instantly, I got really scared because weirdly enough, maybe a night or two beforehand, I had the same dream, but I never said anything about it.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Those
Never
are
said
the
anything about it.
scariest, man.
Right. I didn't say anything to my mom and my stepdad about it. I didn't say anything to her about it. I just remember like waking up being afraid, and I think I just like popped in a movie and like watched a movie the rest of the night so I could try to fall asleep. But the fact that like it was like a day or two later and she had the same exact dream, it freaked me the hell out because I was like, okay. And I didn't say anything to her then. But it freaked me the hell out. Later on, I would tell her like, "Hey, remember that dream you had?" And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I never told you, but I had the same dream before you did." And she was just like, what?" So like from then on, we just like never really went into the basement. You could kind of chalk that up to like, hey, little kids and imaginations about a dark, scary place and stuff like. But we used to like play in the basement.
Hmm.
So like after that, we just never wanted to set foot in the basement. And like we to the point where like because there was a side door that came into the house that was like there was like a landing that went down to the basement and then just a quick 2 steps up to the kitchen.
Okay, yeah.
We used to come there from like the driveway all the time. We didn't want to go through the driveway door anymore. We wanted to go around the front or to the back. Like that's how bad it was. That's how scared we were.
I got goosebumps. You telling that story? That's man, that's awesome.
Yeah, fuck that.
It was pretty fucked up and weird. And like to this day, I think about it because I'm just like, damn, dude. I don't. Nothing's ever come of it, but like since then, I've had a couple of, I guess you could say, unexplainable things happen to me. But as a kid, I kind of grew up in church a little bit, so like there's an explanation in the Bible for things like this. So like I kind of go back to that, even though I'm not a big believer in the Bible anymore. I don't know. So my mind, just because of past teachings and stuff like that, I still kind of go back to that sort of stuff to explain shit like that. So
yeah, I actually grew up in a church household for a while. I went to church religiously. Ha! That's funny. I went to church and like did all the communion, confession, confirmation, all that stuff. And I don't know, man. Like I know what like they teach you in that, but like, I mean, there's just some things that are undeniable and like that happened. Like to me, that dream. Without you saying a word and the same exact dream being had, something was trying to make contact with you in that house.
right.
I mean, what other explanation could it be? And yeah, maybe nothing came of it because how long were you in that house? How many years?
I'm trying to think. After that, it probably was like another year before we ended up moving out.
Well, maybe it wasn't long enough. But yeah, that's oh man. Whew. That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah, those are scary because there's like, how do you explain that? Like, there's no explanation for that besides what you don't want to think about,
Yeah. Nope.
Right.
Exactly. Oh man. All right, Dan. You got one brewed up?
Kinda, but not really. But like around the same time when I was doing all that shit with like the cemeteries and shit and going to, because I told you we went back there multiple times, but nothing ever happened again like that. But I used to get like really bad sleep paralysis around that time. That was the fucking worst, man. So I don't know. It was like around the same time, so I don't know if it was like connected in a way but it was just really bad timing for me to start having shit like that. But yeah, I would get really bad dreams like that, and it would be like I would wake up and then have it again, if that makes sense. Like I would wake up like 5 times and it would keep happening, but
Yeah,
then I
that's
wouldn't
what.
actually wake up. So it
Yeah.
was like, fuck it. It was driving me wild for a little bit. I was like, I gotta stop fucking around with this shit.
Oh
But
man.
no, yeah, dude, like that, the sleep paralysis, that's like one of the scariest things that I've ever had to fucking deal with. Like, thankfully, it hasn't happened like in years, but just like it's a horrible feeling. So I don't know if it was like, I mean, I feel like it had to be related to doing all that shit, because that's one thing I feel like you don't fuck around. You don't fuck around with the paranormal, man. Because once you fuck around with it, you kind of open yourself up to be more vulnerable to it. At least that's the way I think about it now.
Oh yeah. No, I'm gonna back you up on that one, dude.
No,
I
yeah.
100%.
It's been a while, and since I've messed around with that shit, I'm just glad I never messed around with the Ouija board. I'm not smart enough to stay away from that.
Anyway, I'll get to that in a minute. I've actually had a couple instances of sleep paralysis myself, and I think it's only been twice. And I want to say one of them was at my house in Carroll Stream in the basement. And the reason that's significant is because I'll tell the story next, but this is a little bit of a long one. So if you guys do you want to jump in with one more, Nico, before I tell the story?
I can really quick. This one's it's fairly recent-ish, and then it has to do with sleep paralysis. Well, kind of sleep paralysis as well. So like, maybe at this point now it's been about 2.5 years, before I started with my current job and stuff. I was, actually no, I take that back. It happened shortly after I started this job. So, anyways, I would try to go to sleep around the same time every night, and for a while I kept like waking up probably about an hour and a half before my alarm would go off, right? And it was almost always to like use the bathroom. And so I was like, you know what? I'm like, this happens to me all the time. By the way, that was at like say around 3:30 in the morning. That comes into yeah, exactly. So like it became a fairly regular thing and stuff like that. So then it got to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop drinking like liquids later in the evening, so that way I could just like sleep all the way through. Hopefully, did that. Still woke up around 3:30 and stuff like that. One time, woke up, tried to move, and I couldn't. For whatever reason, I was like, is the cat laying on me? Like, what's going on? And like, I could move some parts of my body, but I couldn't move my whole body. And I was just like, what the hell's going on? And I just like, I kind of like shook it off and like went back to sleep. But it kept happening where I was like waking up around 3:30 in the morning. And to the point where I thought I was hearing things before I would wake up. And a lot of the times, usually like leading up to me waking up, I was having some like kind of scary dreams, not like nightmares necessarily, but things that were like kind of creepy and shit. So one night I wake up and I like go and walk out into my hallway, and I notice it is a little chilly. I won't say it's like freezing cold, but I notice there's definite temperature like drop in my apartment. And I'm like, it's a little cold in here. And I like look around, and I hear like the faintest sound, and I don't even know what it was. It sounded like something rustling. I kind of think it's the cat. I like look around, and the cat's laying on my bed, and I was like, okay, that's not the fucking cat. And I look back towards where I hear the sound coming from. I don't see anything, but I see something, if that makes any sense. Like nothing's making itself clear to me, but I know that something's there. Like I feel something is in my presence and I'm looking dead at it. And I just like keep looking in that direction, like waiting for something to happen. Uh but then all of a sudden, like I just get like a wave of just like relief kind of wash over me. I don't want to say like I don't know if I can't say that I noticed like a temperature change or anything like that. I just all of a sudden got like a wave of relief freaking like wash over me. Don't hear anything. I don't see anything. The cat kind of perks up because he sees that I'm, out in the hallway or whatever. And then I just like go into the bathroom and just like turn the light on, like just do a quick like 360 kind of look around and then just like shut the light off, go back to bed. Uh, but yeah, that's probably like the latest and like the last thing that's happened to me in a while.
Oh boy, that's a good one too. Made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Oh man. Wow. When you describe you being locked in and you can't see anything, that's the moment, that your fight or flight can't like respond and you just get the goosebumps because uh-oh. It's
Oh
just that
well, I knew what was going to happen if anything came my way. It was going to be fight, but I'm just I knew something was there, and I was just wait like it was almost like we're at we're at a standoff, and it's like, all right, who's making the first move type deal.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
it felt. And then all of a sudden, it just like went away. Like didn't feel like there was a presence there anymore. All of a sudden, it's just like I could breathe easy now. Everything's cool. So whatever it was, fucking was just like, yeah, I'm not fucking with him. I'm out.
No, that's nuts. Well, all right. So a lot of my younger years, or my earlier years, I should say, like a lot of the stuff that happened was in my Carol Stream house, and it was a packed house. There was 6 of us in that house. It was a full house. But there are instances that I cannot scrub from my mind, no matter how hard I try. And it's crazy, like to think wow, I can't talk. It's crazy to think that these things happen to me, and like I can like relive them almost perfectly. So I'm gonna. So when I used to live in Bensonville, I went to school in Bensonville for a while. Um, and I had a few friends out there that we were young, and man, it's getting really cold right here, right now, just talking about this.
Oh boy.
Yep. And so we left Bensonville because I think my dad, like, his job transferred. We want to move closer to his job, but long story short, we leave, and I try to keep in contact with my friends, but obviously, it was hard because we went from Bensonville to like Carroll Stream. So I had my mom call, kind of frequently, just so I could talk to my friends or whatever. I don't remember how old I was. I know that my sister was born, so man, I cannot remember what age I was. But I was in school. I think it was like kindergarten or first grade. No, it was definitely kindergarten because I went to kindergarten at Prairie View. So maybe, yeah, about kindergarten, preschool, kindergarten. So I left that area. And one day, my mom called over there, and we couldn't get a hold of our friend, the parents or whatever. And turns out that my friend, she got hit by a car and didn't make it. And I was devastated. But being at the Carroll Stream house, like it was hard to do anything and whatnot. And long story short, I moved into my basement, and as soon as I moved into my basement, like this was years later, I started feeling like a presence in the basement, and like it wouldn't be all the time I was down there. It wouldn't be like it would come and go, and at that time I think I was in middle school. I don't remember what it was, so it's a lot of time has passed, but um I was not as smart as Dan and decided that a Ouija board would be a fun, cool, hip idea.
Oh boy.
And so I'm like, well, if there's a spirit here, I'd like to know who and or what it is. And it's the whole, because with the thing happened with my sister and my grandma, in the past couple of years or whatever, I was like, maybe it's grandma, whatever. Anyway, so one night, gather a small group of friends, and we decide Ouija board time, and we do that. And the first question I asked was like, is anybody here? And we all giggling like people, oh, you're moving it, just like you see in the videos like that. And I have not told anybody like the name of this friend at the time, so I was like, I want to see like if someone's moving it, what it spells out. Well, I asked like, okay, if someone's here, who is it? And it spelled out my friend's name who had passed in Bensonville.
Oh,
It spelled out her name, and I think I cried that night because I was like, no way. There's no way that anyone would have known that information. There's no way, like, and I thought, oh, was I like subconsciously moving? Like, I tried to explain everything. Did I do that? Like, did I move it to the M first? Like, was it me that did that? I did mess up, and at that time I did like the whole you need to say goodbye before you take your hand off and put it away. I did not do that. I was one of the only people not to do that, and that is why I feel like that there's every now and then there's like unexplainable things that happen in mine and Ashley's life that I will get into a little bit later. But to continue with this story, we so a lot of times my friends were very respectful, so they actually say hello to, like, when they came in my basement, they would say hi to that person, and I think that just amped up the energy down there. And yeah, but I'm gonna reverse in time a little bit because I should have told this story first. But in that same house, I used to live in the living room for like a year because like we were like my brother was getting older, my sisters didn't want to share rooms, so like I was basically out of room, and I was sleeping in the living room or whatever, just on like a pull-out couch or whatever, or a futon. We bought a futon for the living room, but so I distinctly remember this. I was sleeping in the living room, and it was like a school night, and I woke up to the sound of like someone knocking on the front door, and I'm like looked at the time, and it was like 3:24. I'll never forget the time because like it was burned into my mind because of what I saw. And I'm already into the paranormal at this point because, again, the thing with my sister and my grandma at the cabinet was happening. So I was like, okay. So I'm like, oh, witching hour. That's great. That's awesome. And there's a faint knock at the front door, and I'm like, like I'm just gonna try to go back to bed and ignore it. All of a sudden, like a bright light kind of shone from where the front door was. Like in my house, like you would walk in the front door, and to your left, there's stairs up to the upper level. And then there was like you were in the living room, and if you walked straight, you would be in the kitchen. Well, coming from the front door was like a blinding white light, and like I was like, oh boy. So like there was no cell phones at the time. It was like I think it was like I think I had a pager was the only thing I had. So, but anyway, so this blinding white light comes from like the front door, and it like hovers over to where like my basement door is, and then like I blinked my eyes, and as I opened my eyes from that blink, I saw like a lizard creature with a hoodie, like a brown hoodie, and the hood was up, and he was holding a lantern, and like he grinned at me and then disappeared through the basement door. And within a month of that happening, my mom and dad told me I was moving to the basement, and I was like, oh hell no. So I don't know if that was just a very, very vivid dream, but like a lot of things stand out to me in that. Like I don't feel like I was dreaming. Like you know, like sometimes like you can feel you when you're dreaming and you know like, oh, this is a dream, or and there's certain times that you can't figure it out. But the only reason that I don't think that it was a dream is I remember it. Like I remember everything about that. And I guess some dreams you do remember, but I felt like this was too much of an instance where like I would have forgotten certain details. No, I remember everything that happened that night for that like 3 minutes that it was. So I don't know what that was, but that was a fun part of my childhood there. But so there was that. Then we moved to the basement. Then the Ouija board thing happened. And like when I was down there, like there would be times where I was like, I played World of Warcraft, as you guys know from episodes ago. There'd be times I was raiding, and like, you know, I'd be raiding at like, you know, 1 a.m, whatever, right? And there were times where it would get late, and like I would be in TeamSpeak or Ventrilo, and we'd be talking like, you know, I'd be up with the guild or whatever, and I would hear my name from a female voice behind me, and like I had to turn around, right? Yeah, like, and it wasn't like one of those things where it was like coming through through the speakers, or through the headset. It sounded like someone was standing right behind me and said my name, and I felt like a tap on the shoulder a few times, and like in your instance, Nico, when you like looked and you knew something was like you didn't see anything, but like you locked in a certain position, and you're just like, what is going on? Something's going on, and you just like have to stare at it, and like my friends are talking in TeamSpeak, and I'm just like. So, fast forward a few years, and I'm still in the basement at my parents' house. And my wife, who was not my wife and or girlfriend at the time, she was over. We were hanging out, and I was working third shift. And we were into Ghost Adventures because, again, I'm into paranormal, so we're like, we always watch Ghost Adventures, and like, you know, we had bought a few things. We had Ashley had a digital recorder, so we were kind of doing some paranormal stuff like in the basement because of all the activity that would happen down there. So like, you know, we'd get the cold spots, and like we'd start to talk, and you know, little things here and there would happen. But anyway, so this particular night, I actually would like I was really tired because I was working third shift, as I mentioned. So I was like, I want to take a nap. So I lay down on my bed, and my current girlfriend is there, and my brother is downstairs with us, or with them, because I'm sleeping. And Ashley has a digital recorder, and she's on it, and then, you know, she asks a question and waits like that you do in the TV shows or whatever. And, you know, she asks a few random questions, and, you know, they're kind of giggling in the background, and you can hear me sawing logs in the back because I'm a snorer. I snore like crazy, so you can hear me plain as day snoring in the background. And so she feels a cold spot in the basement, and she immediately asks, is someone there or something like that? And on the recorder, very faint, you can hear, and it was amazing. The simplest little response was like, I got goosebumps. I still have, like, she refuses to, and I agree with her. We will not get rid of that digital recorder. I still have that little bit of evidence. I've listened to it recently because I was doing something for like a gag gift for Christmas, and I found that digital recorder, and it's like the second entry on that recorder, and it's so creepy, like, but it's so there, and it's just because you can hear me snoring, and like it's just dead silent, and you just hear the whisper, like, and oh my god. That's kind of the basement saga, like all the activity that happened in the basement. And there was a lot of Ouija board sessions too in that basement. A
lot.
Yeah, I was a little shit too, and I drew like a pentagram on my wall in paint and stuff like that because I'm stupid as a kid, I guess. But yeah, so there's all that going on in the Carol Stream house. But yeah, that's, I mean, the digital recorder, like when next time you guys are over for D&D or just to chat or whatever, or just to chill, I will dig that thing out so you guys can hear it. It is Amazing evidence. Like it's just, and like I said, and the thing is, it wasn't just me and like Ashley. It was my ex, well, not my ex-girlfriend. It was my girlfriend at the time, my brother. And when they played it back, I think they like almost legitimately shit their pants. So it's just, it's such a good piece of evidence. But have you guys messed around with digital recorders or anything like that with paranormal?
I haven't. No.
No, definitely not, dude.
I see. I'm singled out here.
You're not the only one to play with a Ouija board, though. I have done it at least a couple of times in my life.
That's cool.
Okay. Dan's like, nope.
I had one like and it was my mom's, and it was like we had a bunch of like family board games and stuff like that, and it was like up in the closet with the family board games and stuff, and I never really knew much about it until like I saw The Exorcist, and I was like, oh, okay. And so like I think one time me and my cousin like tried messing with it and asked it questions, but it really felt like my cousin freaking like pushing the thing around and shit. And I was just like, okay, like, yeah, this is, cheesy or whatever like that. And then one time me and my best friend at the time, he was a neighbor. He lived like kind of across the street from me. And me, him, and his nephew, I forget what was going on that day. It was like a summer day, and like we were talking about just like stuff like that and about paranormal stuff or like, creepy things. And we talked about the Ouija board, and I was like, guys, like I have a Ouija board. And they're like, no. And I was like, yeah. And so like I went and got it because we were like, let's check it out. And I, for the life of me, I cannot remember what it was we were asking, but I remember us setting it up. We like sat on we sat on my friend's bed, and we like made like a circle of things around us. So like we basically like made like a pillow barrier around us, and then his mom, especially at the time, was very like religious, and she was in the Catholic Church at the time. So like she had like a rosary, and then she had like a couple crucifixes around the house. Like he went and grabbed them and like set them on the pillows around us and shit, right? And I cannot for the life of me remember what we were asking, but I still think that like I wasn't moving my hands. I want to say that he wasn't either, but like I remember it like yes and knowing us and like trying to spell out words and shit, and we got freaked out. Him and I were around the same age, but his nephew was like, at the time, him and I were probably like 12, 13. His nephew was easily like 5 to 6 years younger than us. So he was like a little kid.
Oh.
And he got scared. He got so freaking scared to the point where he called his mom crying and shit. And we got in trouble. But not only but before he called his mom and like got us in trouble and stuff, we got freaked out to the point where we're like, we got to get rid of this thing, right? So we were like, well, what can we do? What can we do? We're like, well, let's bury it. And we're like, that's a bad idea, because if you go to bury it, because then the bad juju's still like there. It's just in the yard. And so we were like, no, fuck that. Let's burn it. Let's try to burn it. We tried burning it. Didn't fucking work. Did not work. So we like threw it away. We were like, let's just put it in the garbage. If this thing fucking finds its way back to me, I'm going to freak the hell out. Luckily, we threw it in the garbage and never came back. So
damn.
That was my last experience with a Ouija board, and I was like, okay.
Did the Ouija board wind up finding its way back into your home?
No, I haven't seen it since.
Got it. That's nuts. Yeah, Ouija boards, no joke, man. Like, yeah. I don't know if I regret it. I don't know if I would condone it, but I did what I did. So, Dan, you got any like urban legend ghost stories that you really liked? Maybe when you were going to the graveyards.
I don't know if there were like any specific ones, but I would always kind of just look up places in the area that had like haunted histories or stuff. I forgot what was it, like Haunted Illinois? Have you heard of that website?
I have. Yes, I have.
Yeah, so we used to just look up stuff on that website and then just find places like within like a 2-hour radius and just go to these places and see them, because I forgot what the whole thing for Oxable was. I think it was like a spirit of like a little girl or something that was around there that people would see. Oh, there was this other thing actually. In Schaumburg, there's like a tunnel right by the Schaumburg Library. I think this was like so my friend went to Schaumburg High School, and it was like a Schaumburg High School thing. They used to call it the, like, I can't say it here because it's not right, but they used to call it like this quote like censored tunnel, and a lot of people would go down there, and it's literally just like a huge like tunnel. And we went down there and we just walked in there and just walked for like 10-15 minutes, and like the more you go into it, like the more you start seeing like creepy shit on the fucking walls, like spray painted. And like I think we got to a point where it's like a wide path, so there's like a left and a right path of this. It's like, I think it's like a water tunnel or some shit, or like an overflow tunnel for one of the rivers there. And yeah, that was fucking creepy, dude, because you could be completely still and you would hear shit on the other end of the tunnel, and it was probably just water or like rats or something, but it was just fucking creepy, just with all like the graffiti shit on there. And there was like a bunch of candles in there too. Like people would go in there and fuck around and do like fucking rituals or some shit. Yeah, that was creepy. But yeah, another cemetery I went to on here. It was in I think it was in Barrington. It might have been like, was it Whitechapel Cemetery?
No, Whitechapel is yeah, Cuba Road.
Is it? Yeah, Cuba Road. Yeah, we
Yep.
went there too.
Oh yes. Did you see anything in Cuba Road?
No, I didn't. The only cemetery that I actually like felt something or saw something in was Ox Sable. But yeah, no, we did the Cuba Road thing, but it was a pretty big group of us, so I feel like we weren't gonna see anything or feel anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because like you feel like there's too much like.
Yeah, what that was going on with that.
Well, and Nico, do you have anything to interject with that one, or I can tell my white cemetery story?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So we actually decided one year that we wanted to go to Cuba Road and White Cemetery because it's like, it's one of the urban legends around here. So we geared up, like we had cameras, we had batteries, we had digital recorders and stuff like that. And I was with my cousin that you two had met, and so this was unfortunately the year where they started putting out, like, because Barrington was like, once it became like an urban legend of Barrington, like the people of Barrington didn't want like people ghost hunting up there. So like I guess they like petitioned for the police to, like, around Halloween to sit at the cemetery gates and, like, basically dish out harsher punishments for anyone that was like trying to break in the cemetery or like take pictures or whatever. But anyway, so we decided that we were going to go up, and it was like the first year that happened. There wasn't really much activity police wise, so we kind of got lucky, but we didn't get out of the car because there was like a utility vehicle parked in front of the cemetery, so you couldn't actually drive into it. Not that it's a big cemetery; it's actually fairly small. But so like we're gearing up, we got all of our stuff, and like we checked the batteries, we're all ready to go. we get up there and like we start driving down Cuba Road. It's nighttime. I think it's like Halloween Eve or something like that, or the weekend before Halloween. So, and as popular as the location it was, there wasn't a lot of people that were really up there. But actually, it might have been Halloween. It might have actually been on Halloween night. But I don't quite remember. But so we started recording, like the driver started driving slow, and we started recording the cemetery, like for where the gate starts or the fence starts into the cemetery, and all of the batteries on our equipment died. Like the camera just went black. The camera went black, and it was like flashing low battery symbol. And we couldn't catch anything. The video record, like the digital recorder we had, refused to work. And then, like as soon as we got like maybe a half a mile from the cemetery, it all popped back on. And this didn't happen just once. I believe it was twice that we had this issue. So, and my cousin can recount some of the stuff because, like, I was in the front seat with the video recorder. I think he had the digital recorder in the back. So like we were kind of both doing the paranormal work. He's very into it too. Like my cousin and I are probably equally get excited about creepy stuff. So but yeah, so like we tried to record it as much as we could. And I swear that I have a bit of footage that shows like 3 orbs coming out of the ground at the graveyard on camera. But every time I tried to pull up that file, it won't play. Like I've tried the disk restore on it, like for PC, like to try to like prepare the file. Nothing will work on this file. I actually don't know if I have it anymore. I'm sure I have it stuffed on like an external somewhere, but like I almost should have just given it to like a video editor to see if like he can actually pull up the files to like see where if it was corrupt or whatever. But like because I went to go show my cousin and it wouldn't play back on the camera either. So goosebumps. Oof. So later that night, like there was the driver got lost. Like we were up in Barrington, like going left and right and up and down. We could not figure out how to get home. We eventually found ourselves on like a side road with like a abandoned silo. Like it was kind of like destroyed on one side. And I shit you not, a deer walked out from the silo and just like stared at us from the car. I swear the deer's eyes were red, but I'm pretty sure my cousin can confirm that they were actually just like the glossiness of like the deer, like the yellow or whatever that you see like when you see a deer. But to this day, I swear they were red because I freaked the fuck out when it came out. I was like, we gotta go, let's get out of here, we gotta go. And then eventually we found the road and went home. But yeah, that was my Cuba Road experience. We've gone back since, but like I said, because of Barrington the way they are and the way Cuba Road is so popular now and White Cemetery, you actually can't even go up there on a normal week like in October without cops being everywhere up there. So it's that was my Cuba Road experience. And actually to expand on that, I don't know if you know the urban legend of the disappearing house on Rainbow Road. Do either one of you know that?
No.
Rainbow Road.
Yeah, so it's an offshoot road up on Cuba Road. So the if I'm remembering this correctly, without looking it up, the legend says that like there's a house that burned down on Rainbow Road, and like I don't know if it's every full moon or every instance or like a certain time of day, the house will appear as if it is there, even though there's nothing on the lot. And if you go in and you don't leave before it disappears, no one can find you. There have been multiple missing persons reported. I don't know. We went down Rainbow Road and it doesn't look like there's ever an empty lot. So like we're like, well, was the house there when like we went down there? We just didn't know what house it was because there's no empty lots on Rainbow Road. What could that mean? What does that mean? What is it? We weren't as ambitious with that one to get out and like walk around because obviously we don't want to be trudging through people's like yards and stuff like that, and have the cops calling us. But I remember us going real slow down Rainbow Road out in Barrington to find this disappearing house. And then I don't know if you guys know, it's not really a ghost story or anything like that, but like at the end of Cuba Road, I think when it hits 14, there's a house in the forest, like that has like a driveway that's gated off. It is the creepiest looking house and front yard I've ever seen. It is. It just sends like that tingly like shivers down my spine kind of feel, like just looking at this house, whether it's the daytime or nighttime. It's just a freaking creepy house. But a little bit after that, Ash and I we decided we were going to love each other for the third time, and we moved in with each other. And we rented we're renting an apartment in Carroll Stream on Hiawatha, and ever since like the kind of like like you said, Dan, when you kind of search for this stuff, like you kind of open yourself up and things happen. Well, I'm a big believer in that because I believe to this day like random things happen. But so we moved in the apartment, and like for the first year or whatever, nothing really happens. I thought maybe like all this stuff kind of stayed in my basement and whatever. But I think the second year, or maybe it was the first year. No, I think it was the second year we were there. I came home one day, and we had a cat at the time, and the cat was super chill. But I walked in the house, and the cat was like how they do like that low crawl when like they're like cautious of everything, and they're like slowly looking around the room or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I walk in the apartment, and the cat like is doing that to the door, like something had just freaked him out. And I walked in the apartment, and I looked in the kitchen, and every single cabinet door was open, and the stove door was open. So I thought, oh, maybe it was maintenance or whatever, or maybe Ashley's just playing a trick on me. So I took a picture and I texted it to her, and I was like, very funny. And she like, I don't know if she called me or texted me, and she goes, what the hell? And I'm like, what? She goes, I didn't do that. And I'm like, well, I didn't do that. So that one went kind of unanswered. But I think a few days later, we were playing a game together. Like I was watching her play. We were playing a story-driven game. I was watching her play it, and I think this is probably the latest I've ever seen Ashley stay up to this day. It was like we actually finished the game at like 20 to 4 in the morning, so it was 3:40, and we decided to call it quits because obviously we didn't want to stay up. So we were like, we'll clean up the living room in the morning. So we had a table, like a TV tray, a chair. Facing the TV with the game controller on it, and we left that. So I went to the bedroom. Ashley went to the bathroom, and the cat stayed out in the living room. And all of a sudden, the cat started like growling and hissing and jumping off the walls. And all of a sudden, he charged into the bedroom and like jumped on the bed and was hissing at the doorway. So Ashley looked at me from the bathroom, and I looked at her from the bedroom, and I walked up to the living room, and everything that we had left was turned 180 degrees. The chair was the opposite way. The table was on the opposite side. And the cat was just like hissing while I was like standing in the doorway. And I'm like, Ashley, you got to come see this. So she came out there and she goes, what the fuck? And we just looked at each other, and I don't remember, I don't think either one of us actually slept that night because we were scared out of our minds. Or maybe we were just so tired we did fall asleep. But yeah, that was another one where like, can't explain that. She was witness to that, like all of a sudden, because she knew where I was and I knew where she was. Like I could see her in the bathroom and she could see me laying in the bed. And the cat couldn't have done it because the table was on the complete opposite side of the chair. And it happened within 5 minutes of us walking in the bedroom. And she's witness to that happened. So that's another one that gives me goosebumps every time I tell it. Woo! Oh, I feel like I'm talking a lot. I'm sorry. Do either of you guys have anything?
I'm trying to think if I have any other personal stories. I don't. I'm trying to think. I told the one about the freaking Ouija board. My one from a couple years ago or not too long ago. My one as a kid. Um, I don't have anything that's scary necessarily, and if anything, I might want to save it for the end as like a little like a little palate cleanser for everyone. So
Okay. It's getting too creepy up in here, huh? How about any urban legend ghost stories that like that you really liked or were into, or like, because there's a few that I like had to go do like research on, and I was like, oh my god, I need to know more about this.
trying to think. Nothing local, but stuff from like movies. I always tend to like want to look up and find out like how real some of it is. So like I want to say was it a Haunting in Connecticut? Is that the name of the movie? It's either that one or the ones that always like kind of freak me out are like the exorcism movies. So like the Exorcism of Emily Rose was a really fucking weird one.
Yeah.
And I know that one was loosely based on a real story. How real it was, I don't know, and I don't know that I ever like really looked it up. Yeah, no real urban legends are really coming to mind for some reason right now. Like as I'm sitting here trying to think about it, watch it'll be like after the freaking episode, after we're done, I'll be like, oh man, I just remember about this and this and this.
Addendum to the episode.
Right, pretty much.
How about you, Dan? Any urban legends or like major like well-known ghost stories that you really liked?
There's a couple. It's just not coming to mind right now.
Okay. All right, I'll say. How about I say one thing and maybe you guys can comment on it.
All right.
Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. No,
That's not. Is that Shoe Factory?
no. Bachelor's Grove is like that. So I don't remember where it is. I know it's in Illinois. I know it's kind of close to the city, but that's like the big famous like super haunted like human and not human animal sacrifices in there after the fact. But like Bachelor's Grove is like one of those ones that like ghost enthusiasts know. Like I've never been, and like to this day I regret not just taking the trip out there and risking getting arrested to go walk the woods. Now the other thing too is I also risked my life because there were gang activity and like satanic rituals that happened in Bachelor's Grove. So like it was a huge risk to go there, but like and my yearning for the paranormal, like I was like, man, I really want to go to Bachelor's Grove. But I never did. So, but I thought like maybe Dan, at least you would be because that one's not. I don't think that one's too far from here. I'm surprised that like you guys like looking up stuff like that never came across Bachelor's Grove.
No, yeah, it sounds familiar, but yeah, it might have been too. What do you say?
Dangerous.
Well, I don't know if that would have stopped. Maybe there's like too much police presence or whatever.
Didn't want to risk that.
Yeah.
It is in Bremen. No, that's the township. Southwest suburbs. Midlothian, Illinois. It's a big cemetery. What's up?
The name popped up to me somewhere earlier today.
Midlothian or okay. Yeah, it's in the middle of a forest. So, but
yeah,
it is.
Ox Sable is too. It's in the middle of the fucking forest. That shit's creepy. Didn't they do an episode on Ghost Hunters about that one?
Bachelor's Grove or Oxable?
Bachelor's Grove.
I know Ghost Adventures went there.
Yeah, Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, because Zach is from the not the host, but yeah, technically the host. He's from Illinois. He's from like God, I can't remember. Glen Ellen. I think he's from Glen Ellen.
No, well,
Yeah, so like he's local, but yeah, Bachelor's Grove, like that's one of the ones where like it's just south of Elsett. Let's put it that way. So kind of closer to Indiana, but it's within an hour. You're driving 2 hours to Aux Sable. That one has a lot of history. That one, like, you know, doing a and the thing is too with like the Ghost Adventures episode, it's very outdoorsy. Like it's very like anything can saturate the sounds and stuff like that. So it's hard to do like a proper investigation with all the equipment. But also they hired police to like border the cemetery so like nothing would happen to them. Like they actually had the police walk the cemetery to make sure no squatters or like gang or cultists were at the But and then like basically like had to surround the cemetery so nothing would happen to them. So like, it's a little dangerous, but also I really regret not going. just because I have that, like when they were tearing down Pheasant Run in St. Charles, I cannot tell you how many times driving past it, going to work meetings, I just wanted to pull off and just walk in there and like urban explore just to get like the like the thrill of something paranormal happening there or whatever it might be. But even like so Bachelor's Grove is another big one here, and there is well, I got like two more stories that I can tell if you guys would listen.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So recently, with probably last April, I think it happened. So I remember about an hour ago I was talking about like, you know, kids can see things that we can't see or whatever. So I'm upstairs with my son and we're getting ready to go downstairs, and all of a sudden he starts pointing at the ceiling and starts saying hi. And then he was like, he's pointing and say, "Do you see it?" And I'm like, "What? And I'm like, "What do you see? What do you see, dude? Like, what do you see?" And then like he pointed at like up on the ceiling. He's like, "Do you see it? It's right there." I'm like, "Oh no." So I sent the videos to Ashley. I'm like, "Look at this. And then she's like, "Well, ask him like, is it a boy or a girl?" And like, so dude, is it a boy or a girl? He goes, "Girl. Do you see it?" I'm like, "Oh god, oh no." So I have that like on video. Like I didn't catch anything on video at that point, but like I have him pointing at the ceiling, going, "Hey, look at this." Man, I don't know. Like there's so many stupid stories I could tell. Like, trying to think of anything else happened to the apartment. I actually, there was one time here a couple years ago. I think it was 2017 or 2018. I've been having horrible nightmares for like a week or two, and I came home one day and like our bedroom was turned upside down. Like I remember calling Ashley at work. I'm like, "Dude, I think somebody broke in our house." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And I took pictures. Now it was only the bedroom, but like the mattress was like hanging off the bed. The tables were like flipped on the floor. Some of the clothes I think were pulled out of the dresser, and the dresser was open. The closet door was closed, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I was like, clearly you didn't do this." And she's like, "Nope, I sure didn't." And I'm like, I just walked in the house and walked upstairs to take a shower, and the whole bedroom's trashed. I was like, "Oh god." It's like every now and then we struggle with like it doesn't happen all the time, but I feel like sometimes around like my birthday or whatever, I start to get like this like horrible like feeling of dread, and then some like I said, it's not all the time, but then some just shit starts happening. Like it's just unexplainable shit that just starts happening. So, and like part of me believes, actually, I don't even want to say part of me. Everything I think comes down to that one time I didn't say goodbye to the Ouija board. Like I feel like, go ahead, Dan. Sorry. Oh,
I think that was Nico.
oh,
They just said, "Oh man," that's all.
yeah. Oh, it's not constant. Like I said, it has nothing really out of the ordinary happened this year. But it's at random. Have you guys ever done the Bloody Mary thing with the mirror?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I never got anything out of it.
I've done it a few times, and the only time that something I've never got scratched or scraped or murdered, obviously, but I think we were in one of our. I think it was Ashley and I that did it. We were in a friend's basement, and at a party, and we were just just bullshitting around. I'm into the paranormal, so oh, let's do Bloody Mary, and I conned her into doing it with me. And I'm pretty sure that both of us saw a red pair of eyes show up in the mirror, and we fucking bolted out of that bathroom faster than you could take. Dude, it was. I don't know if it was because it didn't. I thought maybe it was a security system thing or a reflection, but we did it and we just stared at the mirror and slowly red eyes faded in, and I'm like, oh hell no, we bolted out of there. We were. I don't know. I know Ashley was scared for a while with that, but yeah, that happened. I remember that happening. So yeah, I'm reckless when it comes to paranormal because I push the boundaries because I want stuff to happen so I can be oh, look at what I found, look what I can do. So, and maybe I'm a fool for doing it because obviously, like you said, Nico, you believe in darker spirits, and that's probably what happened to me, but I don't know if there's any changing it at this point. So. Man, I'm sure there's so much I'm missing but I feel like I've talked for most of this episode, so I apologize about that.
You don't have to apologize, dude. Like I said, I mean, there's stuff about this that I don't know. Part of it sounds like I believe, and then the other part of it sounds like I deny that I believe. Like I said, in terms of ghosts or just certain people's spirits and stuff wandering our plane and stuff, our plane of existence. I don't necessarily believe in that, but I do believe in much more dark entities and malice, malice or even just like I said, just more evil or darker entities and stuff like that they are the ones kind of haunting our planes or creating these fucking things to scare us or fucking to make us believe in other stuff like that. So and obviously given my own experiences and stuff like that, that's what it feels like. Because I've never necessarily had any experiences where it was just somebody playing a trick on me or a spirit playing around with me or anything along those lines. And I've never had any kids be oh, do you see that? Or the experiences that you had with your son or the experiences that you had with your sister talking to your grandma and stuff like that. None of that stuff ever has I've never experienced anything like that. It's only ever been those sort of malintent things, and then the other side of those things are signs that I feel somebody wasn't directly interacting with me or people around me, but maybe they put a sign out there to just let you know hey, things are okay.
Yeah.
Whether that's through dreams or through just mostly stuff in nature that I see that kind of seems it tends to seem just given coincidences or events and stuff like that make it seem okay, maybe this is them sending us a sign that everything's okay or something.
Yeah, it could be that for sure. I mean, there are some times definitely when like things have happened that I'm more calm about it because I'm like, man, I really feel like it's, Ashley's grandparents looking over my. I only have one grandfather that's left with us, so like both my mom's parents are gone, and my dad's mom is gone, and so there are times where I feel like it's just a calming, like, hey, we're letting you know we're here, but then there's other times I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just something that's near and dear to my heart. I think I also just love the rush that you get when like this kind of stuff happens, like the urban exploring kind of thing, or like just like the paranormal thing. Like I'm 38 years old with a son right now, so like I don't get that rush a lot. But man, when something paranormal like and the thing is too, like I know I brought it up earlier, but like I feel like when I watch like TikToks or like TV shows or YouTube videos, like there's some of the stuff that's just like, okay, that's so fake, like wow. But then there's ones that like makes the hair stand up, and I'm like, that reaction has to be like something, right? It just can't be like, and I know it's easy to fake, but like that, I feel like when I get the hair standing up on the back of my neck, that those are more real experiences than someone like editing a video. And it could be wrong. Maybe the editor is just really good, and like he gets his point across. But like that aside, like because I'm always a thing. I'm always a thing. I've always believed in the thing where
You are
like,
always the thing.
yeah, I know. If you believe it more, you get more experiences because things are more open to like showing themselves to you. But at the same time, and to your point, what is it? Like, what exactly is showing themselves to you? Um, I think there's one more decent story that I could tell, and then I'm pretty much out of beer here, so I'll leave it. I'll tell the story, and then I'll leave it to you, Nico, since you wanted to. I know you have a lighthearted thing for the end, but before I tell my story, Dan, you got anything to add?
No, sir. Go ahead.
All right. So I was over at a friend's house, and he is I would say half and half. He was like kind of you, like Nico. Like he was like, yeah, well, I haven't seen shit, but shit, there's some shit that's unexplainable. So we were just, I think we were playing Magic the Gathering in his bedroom or something. And anyway, long story short, we started hearing like clinking in the kitchen, in his like kitchen, and we were there alone at the time. Uh, and so we like went downstairs. We decided like I was like, oh, I was being a tough guy. I'm like, oh, let's leave the lights off and see like what it could possibly be. It's probably like a ghost, or I think I said a demon at the time. So we like walked down there, and like we got to his kitchen. We like put on some flashlights that we had grabbed, and as we did it, we were like, we were just like acting like tough guys, and all of a sudden, like a glass from his cabinet flew out of the cabinet and shattered against the refrigerator. And I was like, nope, nope.
Oh damn!
What's that? Oh my god. So, but yeah, that's another one that like again I can't scrub the memory from my head. So, but I think with that I'm out of beer or cider.
Yeah,
I guess.
I'm pretty much out as well.
Yeah, I'm just about done.
Well,
All right, Nico, what you got?
well, I think that means we're close to an end here. So, just as a little palate cleanser and everything, and like this isn't to assume anybody's like religious beliefs or really even give you any clue into mine. Um, but so my aunt recently passed away. It was coming up on a year now, unfortunately. So she passed away, and Nick, you probably remember this. I had to after her funeral, she wanted to be buried in Arkansas, where she was born and where she's from. So whole family drove down there. And on the day that we buried her, after we left, we obviously kind of a somber day, even to the point where it was like kind of lightly raining and everything. Uh, throughout the morning that we're saying goodbye to her and everything, and then I think it was it was after lunchtime. I remember because we went to like a park because I have a ton of nieces and nephews, and big family, so we're all like, the kids are getting restless, like let's go freaking take them to a park, let them run out their energy and stuff like that, and before we go to like dinner, and then by the time we get back to the hotel, everybody can just crash out, go to sleep, right? So we go to a park. Mind you, like I said, it had and it wasn't even like downpouring rain or anything like that at the time. It was just like lightly drizzling through the day. And then while we were there, it kind of rained a little bit heavier than it was in the morning, but nothing too crazy. The kids kind of waited it out under the pavilion and stuff like that, and then they went off and played or whatever. And so we're just like kind of standing out from like outside of the pavilion and stuff like that. We're just like kind of looking up, and this because the sun started to shine and everything like that, and we look up at the clouds as they're like parting, right? And we see like a rainbow, start to show and everything. And like even so much so that like there was the big rainbow, and then there was like an even smaller rainbow just like kind of like right below it, next to it, right? And so we were all looking at it, we were all kind of like in awe and stuff, and everybody kind of felt like that was our aunt kind of like sending us a sign that like, hey, I'm okay, guys, or that I'm am in a better place or whatever like that. And so everybody like, and then like, yeah, everybody like was kind of crying and stuff like that. Everybody kind of felt like a wave of like ease kind of wash over us, and everybody kind of was like happy and like happy crying and like hugging and stuff like that. So stuff like that, like those sorts of signs, and like I was kind of talking about before, like things in nature kind of like, obviously a rainbow is completely explainable, obviously, right? But like given the circumstances of the day, given how everything sort of played out, and then like in that exact moment, it just felt like that was a sign given to us. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a sign for us, specifically for us. Like where it showed, like the circumstances of everything, and like everybody was like in the right place at the right time, looking at like the exact same spot. To be able to see that, it was like, that's stuff like that is just like, oh wow, it like makes you wonder like about stuff in general, like that's out there. So but yeah, that's my little quote unquote palate cleanser. That was my like little sort of I guess it's kind of a paranormal adjacent story.
No, that's a good story, Nico. I would agree with you on what you guys believe that day. There's definitely some sort of sign there. And yes, I do remember all of that. So sorry that it's coming up on a year, buddy. I know that was hard for you and the family, but I really do believe that was a sign saying, hey, I'm here, I'm okay. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
But
yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to do it, everybody. So thanks for tuning in and listening to Spoopy Time. I said the thing.
Where's my oh, he said the thing.
Bazinga.
All right, guys. Well, we'll catch you in the next one.
Thanks everybody for joining the Friday Night Shit Chat. I've been Nico.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Nick.
Catch you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Clear.
How long I've been waiting for